Benjamin. Thank you
How you
so
doing?
much for joining me. I'm swell. How are you?
Very well. A little bit tired. Didn't sleep so well, but glad to be here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm happy that you were able to join us at this early hour of 11 a.m.
Always, always.
Again, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, as you know, I love chatting to other actors and learning about their journeys and hopefully inspire today's and tomorrow's actors of the world that are out there trying to make it at the moment. But I'm really that's not a word. I'm really keen to learn, I guess, all about your acting journey. I've looked at your profile or your showcast and obviously know that you've traveled a little bit with your acting. So I'm keen to kind of really delve in deep into all of that. But where did it all start for you?
It started when Mum bought me a Superman costume. I was 2, and
Okay.
I just never grew out of escape, I guess. And in this case, role play, being into other people's shoes. I don't know. It's not that I'm bored by myself. It's something I was good at and seem to thoroughly enjoy. I haven't become bored of it yet. The short version of the story is finished high school, went to a film school thinking I'd be better behind the camera. Theatre really wasn't on the radar for me then at 18. And yes, at the film school, there was a drama school next door and they ran acting classes once a week for any of the film students. I attended. A few months in, David Coddington, who was the head of drama at a place called South Seas Film Television School in Auckland, he, asked me to see him after class. And I thought, oh God, what have I done? Because he, yes, if you called into his office, you were in trouble usually. And I went and sat down. He walked in, closed the door, looks at me and just came out. He said, Ben, what the fuck are you doing? I said, what? And he goes, well, I see you walking around campus and you look miserable. Yet your eyes light up when you come into my classes. You're a reasonable director. I mean, you can write, but nothing spectacular. I think you need training, but I think you're quite a hot little actor. And I think you should pursue that for whatever it's worth. So I dropped out of film school the next week. And then through complete serendipity, God knows what, I got my first gig on Shortland Street, which we don't have here in Australia, but is New Zealand's neighbours or home and away, all based around a hospital.
I have heard of it.
So I had a couple of weeks as a featured, guest role, whatever, on Shortland Street. That was my first gig. And then fast forwarding a bit, began first year at a drama school called the National Theatre in Melbourne when I was 20. Finished first year of that and was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So yes, I'm trying to keep it as brief and concise as possible.
You don't have to keep it brief. I'm here to hear you. We're here to hear your journey.
Yeah, well. I mean, effectively, had the operation, and then had what they thought would be maybe 2.5 years of treatments ahead of me. So before that, went to London. My family on my mother's side are British and Danish. I've always had a real affinity with London in particular. I've been going back and forth since the age of 7. I know you have a fond place in your heart for London. And we went over as a family after I got through my op. My birthday was coming up and my mum's 50th. So it was sort of a combined, hooray, no tumor, happy birthday, Ben, happy birthday, mum, all the rest of it. And as we were going over the bridge to where we were staying, I don't know where it came from. I just looked at my mother and said, the plan was to go away for about a month and then go back to New Zealand. And I said, no, I'm not going back in a month. And well, darling, I don't want to be a pain, but you do have your treatments coming up, I said, no, I'm going to put them off for a bit. I'm going to get some work. And I'm 22. I might be getting a little bit old to play Romeo soon. I want to do that before I'm too old. She goes, okay. That's nice, dear. That kind of thing. And a few weeks later, I had been booked for 3 theatre productions. One was a fringe production about the human trafficking that was going on, or has, you know, the history of that. Another one was playing Paris in Romeo and Juliet for the Stratford-upon-Avon Shakespeare Festival. And then following that was a 3-month tour around the entire UK playing Romeo.
Oh, you
So
got to play your Romeo.
I got to play Romeo. I basically somehow, I wish I knew how to do that in everything in my life. I just decided I was going to do it and I did it, basically. I don't know why. It just, I going over that bridge, having just, maybe I was jet lagged after the flight landing at Heathrow. I don't know. But I just really wanted to play Romeo, and all of a sudden it came along. So I did that, and until the doctors were sort of, you know, hounding me to get back to New Zealand to begin my radioactive treatments. Fast forward a bit, effectively 7 years until I was fully recovered. I managed to, you know, spend a lot of time reading and watching my heroes and learning about different practices. I would have the odd time where I might be okay to do a day of work here and there. I mean, I had the energy essentially, Danny, of a 91-year-old man. Like, I'd walk around the block and I was, to put it, yeah, I was fucked basically. So I couldn't, wow. I wasn't really up to much. So having gotten in full remission, pretty much 7 years later, started getting a few gigs in New Zealand, did my first feature film, Pirates of the Airwaves, about a pirate radio station, not unlike The Boat That Rocked, if you ever saw that. It was a film based on a true story that happened in New Zealand in the 60s. That was fun. Then went back to London, and yep, great to be back, getting a few gigs, want more, wanted to have a sense of completing training. I applied for RADA. They had a postgraduate course, and whilst I wasn't a graduate, because of course I only finished first year at my first drama school, God knows why, there were a few thousand applicants. They picked 16 and I got in. Now, the shortest version of that story is that was incredible. Military training of a different discipline. Experiences that I'll never forget. I don't think I'll ever have to work harder in my life than what some of the things they got us to do. Now, at the end of the day, though, it is a pass-fail course. There's no sort of, you can't get a first or a 2-1 or whatever. You either pass everything or you don't. Now, I'm someone of reasonable wit, but I do struggle with dyslexia, and I do have ADD and all the rest of it. But more importantly, I had no idea quite what I was in for, never mind the drama training and the physical and emotional side of that, spiritual side of that, whatever. Just a master's in general, I was completely unprepared for. I think I underestimated, and it is a skill, essay writing. In short, they couldn't keep me there because, as I said, it was a pass-fail course. And so with only one term left, I was withdrawn from the course, unfortunately. But the positive side of the story is Andrew Wisniewski, essentially my fairy godmother, as I fondly refer to him. He kept saying to me, look, Ben, it's not like you were withdrawn from this course because of bad behavior or anything like that. I can see you've given it your best shot. And look, honestly, Danny, he's kind of looked after me like any other alumni. I'm still in touch with a lot of people, not so much people in my year, but other people, past graduates, people in other courses while I was there. During the time that I was in London, I managed to still get work and all the rest of it. It's extremely lucky. And look, that was in the middle of 2016 that I left RADA. So I've been working a lot more since, and I don't know, I think it's a combined aspect of, sure, the training was great, but I can't believe it was just that. The more cynical view would be, oh, well, having the RADA stamp on your CV, you know, helps, sure. I think it's more because I was 30 when I left, and I think a lot of actors go in and then 10 years later, they may not have gotten the work they hoped for, or they just don't want to keep doing it. So the competition drops substantially. I don't know. I did notice since I turned 30, a hell of a lot more work came my way. I think it's the sum of all things, but Look, so yes, look, essentially worked in London fairly regularly until the end of 2018. And then I've spent some time in New Zealand. And then I've been in Sydney since June
Right.
through two lockdowns. But it's going okay otherwise, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. So there was a lot of information there. So I'm going to try and remember all of it and unpack unpack bits and pieces.
Sure.
So effectively what I've heard there is at the age of 2, you were given something to dress up in and you've wanted to dress up ever since. And you've obviously experienced some considerable obstacles in your life to kind of get you where you are now, or at least get you to the point that you're in now. Let's talk about those obstacles. So obviously, cancer isn't a small thing by any means, and to, I guess, and I don't want to is the wrong word. How did you kind of push on when you were in London, knowing that do you think that that was an element of what pushed you forward for that, like, I'm going to be Romeo, because you might have been having that, I've got cancer, I need to just, if I don't do it now, I might not never do it, or?
Look, I think, something like 30% of the of people who go through a thyroidectomy, the operation I had, they don't live. The famous director, wow. Anthony Minghella, English Patient, Cold Mountain, Tell Mr. Ripley, he died, I think it was 3 months later, during the same operation, effectively. So it was already a frightening thought, obviously, the big C word, cancer, at 21. But I think it was an added aspect that there was actually a chance that, look, there was a chance that maybe I'd lose my voice. There was a chance that I would hemorrhage and not live through it. I don't think it defines me, but it's certainly, but it's funny. I was asked a while ago, I keep getting asked, what would I tell myself I'm 35 now, what would I tell myself at 21, pre-diagnosis? Shit, I don't know. What do you tell someone? You know what I mean? Like, I sort of feel like maybe if I was 31, may have been a bit better equipped to deal with it. Look, it goes without saying, obviously, there were mental health issues that came throughout the treatments. It was, there's no bones about it. There is a lot I got from it, don't get me wrong. I can look at it that way, but there's nothing fun about it. Absolutely not. It's pretty bleak times. I think, well, I mean, when is ever a good time to get cancer? But I think early 20s, yeah, it was rough. I'm not gonna, but I'd like to think there were some of the darker days of my life, for sure. And I think, back to your question, sorry, I'm digressing, but the point is that, yes, the pushing forward, I think it absolutely was an element of denial. Absolutely. Because I think the op was one thing. I think when COVID hit and everybody's filled with uncertainty about their future, not that it's a competition, but there was one part of me that felt like, oh, I know this feeling. Do you know what I mean? Just everything just stopping, hitting a brick wall. Who knows when it's going to end, whatever it be. It was effectively the same feeling, because maybe 2 years, maybe God knows how many I had ahead of me. I didn't know. So
how do you then, in that case, given that you've just said that when COVID hit, it was a feeling that you'd already had before, do you feel then, over the last couple of years, as we've kind of battled through COVID, that you were some way better equipped to deal with the pandemic and get yourself through?
If not better equipped, maybe it was just self-talk in my head to make me feel more comfortable with the dire circumstances of just everything stopping, and the fact that people are dying, and it's the fright, I mean, it's still, an anxiety ridden experience that the world's going through. But when it first hit, the sheer panic of, what was going on, no vaccine, all the rest of it. I think like everybody, I struggled with it. And I think it was my way of mentally and emotionally dealing with it. Sort of, oh, this is all right. I know this feeling, just everything put on hold. I think, that better equipped. I don't know if I think that'd be extremely arrogant for me to say that.
I didn't mean in comparison to the rest of society, but I guess I meant just for you personally, better equipped in yourself to
I think so.
To deal with that feeling. You just started to talk about, I guess, self-talk there. Is this your tactic to deal with any kind of negative thought processes or any mental health issues that might arise as part of acting or anything else?
I think that's part of being an only child, and also having effectively forced solitude. Because during my treatments, look, I'd have visits and all the rest of it, but a lot of the time, to be honest, I just wanted to be alone during that time of cancer treatments and all the rest of it, because I wasn't a box of birds at all, never mind physically, just everything that was going on. So I think maybe it's just been a natural go-to defense, not unlike Batman with his utility belt or whatever. It's like, oh, this is what I do. I sort of start going into the self-talk and evaluating. I mean, I suppose that's one thing, like I say, there are good things I've gained from some of the experiences I've had is self-reflection, a lot of it. If I'm not careful, I can get very caught up in my own head. So there's a fine balancing
Aren't we
act. All the stuff there. Yeah.
Aren't we all? Yeah. Okay, interesting. I think being able to talk oneself out of negativity and into positivity is I think it's a rare skill to have. So if you're able to do that, then that's magnificent, I think, and will obviously serve you very well going on. So given, I guess, what you've said about your background and kind of you pretty much, by the sounds of it, got straight into acting after you finished your, or rather left your film degree into short one straight.
Wasn't it three tertiary trainings, and I didn't finish either course for various different reasons. It is bizarre.
Have you personally ever felt the need for a backup plan from an acting perspective? Because obviously, we don't live in a world, unfortunately, or acting isn't necessarily always a fruitful, financially paying gig until you make it. Until you make it is the wrong way of saying that. Until you're working, I guess, nonstop. So.
Sorry. So what do you ask?
Did you ever have a backup plan? From a career perspective?
Honestly, Danny, reckless as it sounds, no, because Liam Neeson's going on in my head. I'm a man of particular skills. I have some skills, don't get me wrong, but I don't have a lot of confidence in my ability to carry them out.
Okay.
In a way that's useful to the community, or anything like that. It's something that I've always been incredibly comfortable in. It's something that is therapeutic to me. It's something that I feel like I say, I feel like I have something to give with it more than I do with anything else. I kind of look at my acting career the same as, because I dabble in a lot of different arts. I kind of look at it as just sort of artist, full stop, as pretentious as that sounds, I'm sure. But, I have definitely considered going into other avenues. I think it was a matter of, do I want to get a student loan or following, like I said, 3 tertiary trainings that just threw the way life went, or me, who knows, maybe a bit of both. Just I'm yet to get a piece of paper beyond high school, university entrance. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no backup plan is what I'm hearing is the answer. Now obviously
Basically, look. To say I haven't considered it. The best way to answer is no. I did not have a plan. No.
Oh, you didn't. Okay, yeah, sure. So how have you maintained? Talk to me about the different gigs that you've done as an actor between acting jobs to keep food in your mouth and a roof over your head over the last 15, 17-ish years?
Yes. Well, I mean, like I say, 15, 2006, 15? Yeah. 15 year minus 7 effectively. I don't know.
Sure.
So I don't know. Look, I've been a window cleaner. I've worked in hospitality. I've worked in retail. I've worked in call centers. I've been like front of house. Lots of different things. Admittedly, look, there's no point me pretending that it wasn't the case. I was and have been extremely fortunate to have a lot of support from my parents. If they ever got the sense that I was taking the piss, they wouldn't support me in between work. But there was a time, maybe shortly after arriving back in London, and I was talking to them, and I think I was working in a restaurant 4 days a week. And just, I don't know, I had to keep saying no to auditions, or I'd be there for a while, then I'd get an audition, or I'd get a gig, and I'd have to take the time off. And what do you mean you're not coming in on Tuesday? Sorry,
yeah.
it's my career. And I'd always say that when I would go for these jobs, but it was proving to be a problem. And I think it was maybe fueled by my family being happy to see me remotely back on my feet, that they just said, look, Ben, I'll tell you what, maybe, go for more of a part-time cash, maybe a couple of days a week, whatever, but look, just do it. We'll back you. Just don't hold back. Just go for it. And that was, in London, like prior to RADA, which was a good 2.5, something like that, years. And I did get somewhere. I did get quite a few short films, a lot of plays of varying levels of quality and production. But I was gigging. But the point being is that I suppose, look, I there's no point me pretending. I'm extremely fortunate that I did have. I've never rested on it because I don't know, maybe because of pride. I don't want just to be, during the downtimes, mummy and daddy helping. I want it like anybody. I want to do it on my own, and I have managed to do it on my own. It's, in the more recent years. But no, there's no denying. I mean, look, arriving in Sydney as a unknown actor 2 years ago with 2 lockdowns in between, I've been very lucky. I mean, this year's actually been quite a good year for gigs. I have been escalating and all the rest of it. But at the same time, look, to say that I don't have help from family or my girlfriend or whatever in between would be, I'd just be, I don't know, I'd feel like I'm not doing the industry what we're talking about a service by just saying, oh, I just went for it, didn't have a plan and just worked out. I mean, that's absurd. I can't, I'm extremely thankful for it. And that's one of my ultimate goals, to be honest, professionally, is to reach a point where I have some power in casting. And diversity aside, that's a given, but also the class system in general. I mean, drama school fees are exorbitant, and there's no way I would have, especially not at RADA, been able to even blink. I've been able to afford the fees for that. And it goes further into work. I mean, there's a lot of time when, here I am, a white middle-class boy from New Zealand, playing a lot of working class characters in London. And when there are plenty of fine working class actors, they just maybe haven't had the training, or they haven't had the opportunities, or there's do you get what I'm saying? What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I think, you know, the jobs should go equal opportunity. So what I really want is to get into a position where I have some power in casting, and because, you know, I want to work with my friends. I don't want to just work with the people that, you know, were at the right place at the right time, or had the right backing, right background, whatever it be. I wouldn't say I'm a total socialist, but I do like, you know, equal opportunity, or as close to that as possible, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. And I feel like most people kind of want and value the same thing now. So that's I guess kind of segues into a good spot of when you decided all those years ago, that's it, I'm going to be an actor. I'm not going to be behind the camera. And you've landed yourself on Shortland Street for however many weeks, but you decided, I'm going to be an actor. What was at that point in time your idea of making it that you were working towards when you first started out?
This is funny. I wanted to be, you know, Oscar famous, Hollywood, all of that. Then, having done Shortland Street, and on a very small, minuscule level, experience during those weeks that the episodes I featured in were airing, and random people coming up to me when I was out with friends having a drink or whatever, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And that's on the smallest level. We're talking, you know, a soap opera local to New Zealand that apparently is very big in Ireland, strangely enough. People in Ireland, actually, funny story, back when I was doing that Romeo and Juliet tour, recognized me from Shortland Street. So that was hilarious.
Wow.
But
And you were only on it for a few weeks.
2.5, yeah, 2.5
Wow.
weeks. But, you know, like any soap, people follow this shit. You know what I mean? And I think it's just, I couldn't stand being bothered, even, you know, the few times it happened during those screenings. So those are my dreams at the time. They very quickly changed, and they've sort of progressively moved more towards, look, everybody loves the credit they deserve. Everybody loves praise. You know, everybody likes a compliment now and then, don't they? You know, absolutely. I think I just want to do what I'm doing as regularly, if not more regularly, and continue to be, because I've been very fortunate to be able to play a range of different archetypes. You know, I've been lucky to not be typecast, and sometimes with fame you can become typecast. So in terms of look, I want to work with whoever I want to work with, I'll put it that way. But at the same time, I want to be able to walk down the road and be able to buy a bottle of milk, you know?
Yep.
And so in terms of my dreams, look, I'd love to be famous in the industry, not necessarily a household name, if possible.
Okay. All right. I think that's it's a fair goal to have.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit you mentioned before, and when I kind of mentioned the obstacles that you've overcome on top of the health issues, you mentioned dyslexia and ADHD. So obviously, when it comes to acting, there are a lot of words involved. There's a lot of reading involved. How have you kind of coped or managed through that over the years? Obviously, I mean, looking at your CV, you've got a lot of short films, but also a lot of stage stuff. And with a lot of stage comes needing to know and remember and memorize many lines from sometimes hours. So how has that affected you throughout this journey of trying to make it?
I think not unlike any artist in any medium, I've just had to find my way. And, you know, everyone's got their obstacles. Some people struggle with nerves. To say I don't get nervous would be a total lie, but I don't get stage fright. You know, everybody's got their Achilles heel in their craft or crafts. Mine is learning lines is a nightmare, which is a fairly fundamental part of what we do.
Yep.
honestly, it's got to a point where I keep thinking I've got a technique for learning lines quickly. It really just comes down to mindless, just reading again and again and again and again and again, and to the point where I'm just bored of it because I know it so well. Because there have been so many times, particularly in the early years, where I'd before an audition say learn my lines the 2 days before, and I know them very well the night before, and I get in that day and shit, can't remember them. So in my case with learning lines, it has to be, you know, as soon as I can get the script, the sooner the better. And look, if it's however, you know, long, half an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is a day, just every single the repetition daily until it's just tattooed in my brain. Yeah, I wish I had a way for other people maybe struggling with some of the same stuff to be able to, honestly, just keep reading it. Eventually it sticks. Yeah. So it's been definitely something that I've just had to, you know, I've tried various things. I've been, you know, class, I had some help at RADA, all the rest of it. But like anything as well, the more gigs I do, and I have remembered my lines, obviously, to be able to do all the work I've done, the confidence grows that even when I'm freaking out, fuck, they're not sticking. Or never mind line learning, anything, it's not working. I'm having a bad day. It's not working today, whatever it is. Knowing that I've felt this before, trust the process, I'll get there. You know, I don't know how, I know what, the how, I have no idea. You know,
Sure.
same thing.
Is there, because you've just said, you know, get the script as early as possible. Do you, you know, sometimes when it comes to auditions, we don't have the luxury of getting the script any earlier than when we get the script. But I'll take auditions away for a moment, but when you're on a set, or rather when you're working on your next project, do you have that discussion with your team to let them, or the director or whatever, to let them know your situation so that they can give you the script early enough? Do you approach it? Do you acknowledge it?
I definitely do. Look, audition and or work. I just say, look, as soon as possible, you know, that would be great. You know, I don't necessarily tell them immediately that I've dyslexia or whatever, but I do ask for it immediately. Look, I only bring it up with the team if I think I will be struggling a bit with lines on the day. Having said that, again, I've managed to pull it off. Worst case scenario, it might be a few more takes, you know, than it would have been. I'm glad to say it's been fewer situations than more. But yes, it is absolutely, it's a matter of, and look, particularly today, especially in the last sort of 5 years, there seems to be a bit more of an understanding of different people's, if nothing else, quirks or the way they are. So I think a lot of people sometimes value me being quite candid and open about it as well. And it's like, you know, it's sort of like now everyone's seen my laundry, there's nothing to hide. And it actually makes me more comfortable. And then I do remember my lines better in that case. So I am able to let go into the part more, or whatever it be.
Cool. Do you, having lived in the UK and studied over there, and then obviously come to Sydney, have you kind of noticed any differences in the industry and how they operate here versus London?
I think I don't, and this isn't a criticism, it's just an observation more than anything. I found they take longer to cast things here. Now, I don't know if that's maybe here in Australia, there's just generally more consideration taken of before a casting's made. I don't know. I don't know, but I just find it's the waiting time, or the, you know, the process before being granted a part or finding out the unfortunately not this time message, whatever it is. It is a little bit longer. Now, I really meant, it's not me knocking it, saying like, oh my God, it's so bloody slow. No, it's just something I noticed that. So like any audition or any work you're going for, when you apply and you sort of park it in your mind, otherwise you can go crazy waiting for the phone to ring or the emails to pop up. It kind of actually is quite a good thing, because when I can sort of acknowledge that most things I've been going for have seriously taken their time compared to what I'm used to, it makes it even easier for me just to go, oh, look, just totally put it on the park it, you know, And then sometimes it can be, you know, a month or so later, I hear. But then having said, there are gigs here that, you know, I mean, there was one literally yesterday, I applied for it in the morning, independently outside of my agent, on Star Now. And by the afternoon, I got a phone call and I got it, and I'm on set on Thursday.
Amazing.
So that was a quicker one. You know, it's not to say that they're all. I find that that's something that more than anything stood out to me is casting directors or producers. They tend to take their time more with casting, which is probably a good thing, because I suspect it's because there's just a bit more consideration taken. Is this the right guy or girl or person for this part?
But also, I guess there's potentially also an element of the UK versus Australia is there's a lot more production over there than what there is here. So potentially casting directors and productions are moving a lot faster, or potentially working on more things at a time, do you think?
I do wonder that. I do actually. Something else I've noticed about Australia is there seems to be a greater emphasis on a holistic approach to the work, which is really refreshing.
As opposed to a lot.
Yes.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
It's a little bit more woo-woo. It's a bit more, you know, and I consider myself a bit woo-woo and kooky. It's a little bit more grounded in spirituality, and if not spirituality, I mean, there's an idea I quite like that, look, you know, if on some level in life, but specifically in art, if you don't on some level believe in some form of magic, and you're a artist of any degree, any, you know, craft, if on some level, even just on the most minuscule level, you don't believe in some sort of magic or something that's beyond our understanding, your art probably sucks, you know. And I think it's because, I'm not saying, for, you know, it's a thing of click your fingers and, you know, magic happens necessarily. I just mean in terms of something that there's an added force that we don't fully understand. In other words, I like to think when creating that we don't create the art, we're a vessel and it's basically going through us. There's something that, you know, that whatever you believe in the universe, you know, whatever it is you believe in, that is at work, and we are merely the vessels, you know, being rewarded for the work that we're putting in, and vice versa. What we give, we put out, similar to karma. It's give and take. And I just think, I can't remember how I got on to this point. I'm sorry, I can't remember the original question, but yes, I think that, yeah.
You're saying that the work
the holistic,
here is a bit more
holistic approach.
yeah.
Yes. So I guess what I'm ultimately saying is the quality of a lot of the work that I've seen here has it seems to have a bit more substance.
Okay.
Yeah. And I really warm to that. I really warm to that. Also, when I first landed here, I thought, you know, do I really need to work on my Australian accent? I better, you know, polish up on it. And first thing my agent said was, no, honestly, Ben, because we've got plenty of Australian actors that can do an Australian accent here. You know, I you know, look great if you can, you know, but I don't think you're actually going to be called in for too many Australian characters, strangely. What a pale, gangly guy with a weird British Kiwi hybrid accent wouldn't be cast as an Aussie on the beach. What? Sure. I think it's right within my casting, you know. They can be vampires on the beach, can't they? You know. Yeah.
Got that roll down, Pat. Do you think you'll stay in Australia, or do you think you'll look further afield for to maintain your career trajectory?
I'm not sure. I mean, the one of the dreams I've had that I didn't mention before is I've always wanted to work in that upside down triangle, you know, between the UK, America, and the Antipodes. So I've done American work, but not on American soil. I've never worked in America. I love the idea of being able to jump between them. At the same time, my partner, she's a TV editor, and she's got a great career here. She's from Hungary originally, though, so we've got a Kiwi and a Hungarian that met over here. So we don't know what the future holds in terms of where we'll be. We know we want to be together, but where we want to be and where we want to work, I don't know. So I'm very fond of Sydney. I've felt incredibly welcomed here. Made some incredible friends, made some incredible contacts, and done some wonderful work. And look, until I'm shooed off or whatever, I'm very keen to stay here because I love it. I love Australia, you know. So I think probably long term, at least in the immediate term, definitely going to be here for a while. I think I'm very fond of it.
Yeah, look, the weather's great.
This is it, right? Yeah.
As I look out to the La Nina sky of the current, it's summer tomorrow, allegedly. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Generally speaking, it's pretty good here. I mean, in weather terms, isn't it? I mean, it does get chilly. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I mean, I think compared to yes, where I was in the Northern Hemisphere and even in New Zealand, the weather here is just glorious. It is amazing.
Look, I don't buy it. I'm not. I love the cold, and I love the. I can't wait to get back to the north, north of the equator, winters and cold and
getting all cozy with
the British Christmas and the markets. I can't wait.
Mulled wine. Wait. Yeah.
You know what? Mulled wine tastes pretty shit unless it's at Christmas at a German market.
Yeah. Yeah. and all the stalls are wooden, nothing with poles. It's all wooden and rustic, and yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cannot wait to get over there. Okay, cool. So what's the I'm just going to ask because you've just said it. What's the project that you're working on that you're going to be on set for next week? Can you talk about it or?
Sure. Well, I'm currently shooting a feature called Sunyata, written, directed by Ewan Munro.
Okay.
I'm shooting that again tomorrow. I've been doing that for the past 3 weeks now. Doing that tomorrow. Thursday is a commercial. I can't say what it is. And Friday, I'm doing a day on Armed and Dangerous, the docudrama.
Wow.
Yeah. So this week I'm jumping around a bit, but
yeah. And has all this come through by your agent, or do you get a lot of freelance stuff as well?
These three specifically have been through a combination of contacts and Star Now, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, it's funny. I used to there's a lot of people I've spoken to and they say, "Oh, don't go on Star Now. You know, it's not a good look when people look you up and whatever." I think that's bollocks, because I've honestly had so much great work through it and met a lot of wonderful people that I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. Made friends, great, colleagues that I've worked with more than once. Since.
Is that something that you've heard in Australia, or is that a
yes,
thing?
and in England, absolutely.
Because I've heard it a bit about from the UK. When I say that, like, I've been I'm on Twitter and etc. and I effectively just follow casting agents and actors and whatnot to keep updated kind of in the industry a little bit. And there seems to be a negative connotation around Star Now from a UK perspective, but I didn't know that was felt the same here.
I mean, I actually found out recently the app or the service was created by Kiwis originally. I always thought it was a British thing,
no,
ironically.
Yeah.
So that might be a reason. Look, I think at the end of the day, most of it is independent filmmakers on micro budgets and all the rest of it. So with that, you can get braver, more daring, maybe more artistically credible work, but you can also get people in their first projects, some work that might potentially be less desirable, but you can also get that on the high professional level and work through your agents. So
yeah,
I mean, look, some people are funny, but my agents personally are absolutely fine with it. I very early on said, look, do you mind if I seek my own work in between? And they said, no, Ben, we're just thrilled that when people ask what you're up to, we can say you're busy. It's not a sense of he's sitting at home waiting for us to call him,
I think it's
And
really important for actors to take control of their career and take control of their trajectory
100%,
because, you know,
totally.
there's a lot of people out there that don't have agents. Like it's hard to get an agent. And if you're not with an agent, how are you?
It's very hard. Yeah.
Exactly. If you're not with an agent, how else are you going to get work? I think Star Now is an amazing resource. And majority, I think probably, I think 100% of the TV and film work that I have done has come from Star Now. Like
Yes.
I have when I had my agent, I had one audition for something that wasn't a TV commercial through him. Everything else, and I've done 2 features this year. I will have done 2 shorts this year, plus 2 plays. Everything has come from Star Now.
Yes.
I would not have worked if it wasn't for something like Star Now.
No. And I think you're right. I think autonomy is so important because unlike a musician, a photographer, whatever else, we can't really practice what we do on our own. We can't, like you can go home, you can practice the guitar, you can write, you can, you know, and also it is the only art form in that the range of work we do is limited by our physic. You know, there are certain roles that no matter how much makeup or whatever, I will just never be cast in, and likewise, it's same for anybody. So there's already a lot of power, I feel, that is relinquished compared to other pursuits. So anything that can help that sense of finding the work yourself or building the content or just a sense of progress, right? You know, on our own is so much more empowering. And again, like I say, it you know, particularly when you're arriving in a new country like I have, there is downtime because nobody knows you. You haven't, you know, effectively you're starting again. How much better is it to say that you're working than you've been for a few auditions and I'm still auditioning, you know, waiting for my agent to call. I mean, it's I think, look, anything that can increase the chances of working, it's obvious. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Well,
Yeah.
you seem to be in a very fortunate position where you are, as you already said, this has been a successful year for you. So it's you're in a great position at the moment by the sounds of it. How do you keep your acting muscle warm when you're not working?
A number of things. I have a morning ritual every morning. I do. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist's way.
I'm not. Please tell me.
Julia Cameron is a life coach, a director, a writer, a painter. I think she was a singer and a dancer at one point. She was married to Martin Scorsese for some time. She wrote a book in 1992. It was published called The Artist's Way. And it was based on, if I understand right, a course she ran in LA. And effectively, it's about a blocked artist's recovery, if you want to call it that. A lot of it's based off the 12-step program, which is infinitely fascinating and obviously therapeutic. And the whole point of it is it's 12 weeks, and the core of it is every single day you do what's called the morning pages, which is you write 3 pages, stream of consciousness. It could, even if you write for a paragraph, I don't know what to write, nothing's coming to mind, this is so boring, I really can't be fucked with this right now, whatever, just keep writing. And the idea of it is that you've got a safe place to put all your thoughts in with no consequences. Obviously, you keep them to yourself. And you're getting more in touch with where you are. You do it very shortly after waking up. And so you just write whatever it is. You might come up with ideas for things you want to create. You might just want to have a whinge for 3 pages. You might have a whinge for, I find about 1.5 pages in, all of a sudden, what feels like more of a sense of the truth of what's going on with me each morning, I'm just a little bit closer to understanding that. And also you get more in touch with the flow of the way thoughts come to you. Like I say, that thing about the artist, you're a vessel through life. And, you know, we don't own our art, I don't think. I mean, of course, on the literal level, we're credited, but, you know, we don't. I think there's something nice that comes with that selfless approach. So the morning pages help a lot with that. So that's one thing. The other thing she gets you to do is something called the artist's date, whether it's a walk in the park, whether it's going to the cinema, painting, whatever it is that fills you up with joy. Me, it's playing music, reading comics, watching films, going for a walk, eating beautiful food, whatever it is, like a treat once a week. And it's something that you stick to, and it's not interrupted. It's ideally on your own. If it's a group activity, that's different, but so it's formed on that. So that's something that, that's the artist's way, essentially. How do we get onto the artist's way again?
I asked how you keep your acting muscle warm.
Oh, that, right. So that helps a lot. Every morning I do the morning pages, meditating, exercising, watching and absorbing not only film and theatre and podcasts, but go to galleries, watch music, listen to music, just delving in and just absorbing like a sponge as much as I can. And not just in the arts, but also in life, I'm fascinated by the human condition and how bizarre we are, and how what I keep thinking are the realms of reality. I keep seeing people on the street with walks that I could never have imagined outside of a cartoon character. Things like that.
Yeah.
Most classes for sure. I haven't actually taken part in classes for some time now. Not because I don't want to. I haven't. I actually probably should get onto that. But I think, look, when you can't go home and practice quite the same as when you can when you're working or in a class, I think just paying attention to your being and every other being around you, and just experience and reflection, all the rest of it. Because it is also the only art form that is based solely on human behavior. Everything else is an expression of it. Right now, we're two characters in a scene sharing dialogue with objectives or whatever it be, So we could just observe. Yeah.
I think I need to observe more.
Yeah. You seem like an observant chap, though. You're pretty astute.
I'm not an observant chap, but I mean, from observing the human condition a little bit more, perhaps I could adopt a little of that myself. I do scene work regularly to keep my acting muscle warm, but then feel sometimes that there is something, maybe a little something missing, and I wonder if that's because of my perception of the human condition or whatnot. Anyway, that's by the by.
I mean, I suppose ultimately any art is about observing, interpreting, and reporting back. Yes. So it doesn't mean that your observations have to match someone else's. I think the important thing is particularly for an actor, to have their view, or any artist have their view of the world. It's just understanding your perceptions, I think. But I don't know what you're worried about. You're a fine actor, Danny.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind.
Loved working with you in March, was it?
It was April, I think.
April. Of course it was. Of course it was. That's right. First night was my birthday. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah. Well, I'm very keen to see how that has turned out.
Yes. I keep getting little messages back that it's a slow but steady process.
I've not heard anything from Matt since we filmed.
Yeah, I've been sort of every few months. Just wondering how it's coming along. I'll be fascinated. It was an interesting experience, wasn't it? Interesting
is the word for it. Yes, it was a very interesting experience, but an experience nonetheless. And I don't think there is such thing as a bad experience when it comes to working on films or on a film set. Let me caveat that with, obviously, the obvious bad experiences of I'm not talking about the obvious bad experiences of, I don't know, misconduct or something like that on set. But I mean, no experience is a bad experience when it comes to being able to be on set and immerse yourself in a film or whatnot. God, that was a bit of a babble, wasn't it? Sorry.
No, love on it. Look. I mean, look. If nothing else, look. I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation if that project didn't happen.
This is very true.
We met a number of, Steve Maresca was a joy, wasn't he? Amelia Conway, everyone, Maddie, everyone who was involved. It was hilarious. It was
very funny.
So yeah.
Anyway, look,
yes,
thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming to have a little chat about your experience. I think there's some interesting stuff in there for some people, especially I guess, around the dyslexia and how to kind of cope with that.
It's very common amongst actors. Yes, I'm not sure what it is, but dyslexics are very attracted to acting, it seems, generally speaking,
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Danny. It's been a joy.
No, thank you, and good luck with your current workload.
Likewise. Have you started shooting your casting you got last week?
No. I don't actually know when it starts shooting. We're just there. I know that it's somewhere within the next 5 to 6 weeks. So I've not got actual shoot dates, and majority of it is over Zoom. So
fantastic.
Will be interesting.
It's a really interesting medium. There's so much you can actually do with those boundaries to play within.
Definitely.
Look, mate, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Cheers, buddy. You too.
All right. Bye.